Good morning. Who's right? Who's wrong? On the one side, we have the Ritviks. And on the other side, we have the GBC ISKCON. Who's right? The Ritviks system, 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, maintaining temples and deities, engaging in Sankirtan, Prasadam distribution, reading and studying and distributing the books of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, performing initiation ceremonies on his behalf. The Ritviks have their advanced devotees. They speak very nicely the philosophy. And on the other side, we have the GBC ISKCON. Connection to Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara is made through grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada. "16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, maintaining temples and deities, performing Sankirtan, distributing books and Prasadam, studying the teachings of His Divine Grace." So which system is right? Is one right and the other wrong? Are they both right? Are they both wrong? And what is the purpose of the system anyway? Is it simply a system for the sake of being a system, or is there a goal to it all? If the goal is love of God, then that system, which is who people are following in that system of developing love of God and all the saintly and godly qualities, we have to say that system is the right system. If no one is developing saintly qualities and love of God, then neither system is right. They're both simply materialistic endeavors. With a little tinge of, yeah, love of God's the goal. But don't bother with that right now. So who's actually developing love of God? Is it the people that have tried to go through the system and have been spit out? Are they actually developing love of God so that it really doesn't matter which system But then the question of perpetuity. A living culture will perpetuate itself. So which system is most prepared for perpetuity? I don't know. I don't know who's right or wrong. I don't know. And there's a lot of people that don't know. It's easier for me, in one sense, because I was present when Srila Prabhupada, the founder, and the great empowered Acharya, was actually traveling and preaching and making disciples. I didn't see him very much. When I did, it was from the back of the room somewhere, peeking through elbows and bead bags, trying not to get crushed in the crowd, straining on my tiptoes to look over, like I could maybe see Srila Prabhupada. Would he see me peeking through the crowd? When I was initiated, Prabhupada was in another part of the world. The temple president sent a letter. Bhaktin so-and-so is chanting 16 rounds, following 4 regular principles, and would like to receive a spiritual name and be formally connected to the parampara. Prabhupada sent back some beads. And a name. Temple president performed the fire sacrifice. The other question is, within the temples themselves, as they're set up with a murti of Srila Prabhupada at one end and the deities of Krishna at the other end. And Prabhupada is the founder Acharya, spiritual master. If the practice is that Krishna is actually the deity, and he's accepting the service of the devotees, then that would also have to be true for Srila Prabhupada. If Srila Prabhupada is present there, and he's accepting the service of the devotees, there's an etiquette involved that no one accepts disciples in the presence of their own spiritual master. They bring the prospective candidates to the spiritual master. So how to understand that murti of Srila Prabhupada in the temple? And to have disciples of Srila Prabhupada, accepting disciples in front of the murky. It always was like a dichotomy to me. Is Prabhupada not always in the murky, only sometimes? Is Krishna not in the deity, only sometimes? A little confusing in that way, in terms of accepting disciples in front of Srila Prabhupada. Is he in the murky or isn't he? Is Krishna in the deity, present in the deity, or isn't he? A little confusing. There are a few things like that. How to understand this? Who's right and who's wrong? Who's developing love of God? And who's just going through the motions? Which system actually has the potency to actually bring someone to the point of love of God? Do they both have it? Does neither of them have it? Is one right and one wrong? Does it even matter who's right or wrong? Is the important thing to simply begin to practice some discipline? There's a story about the boy that wanted to serve the greatest master. He looked around him from where he was in the village, and he saw that there was a farmer who was taking very nice care of his animals and was a very kind and gentle person and had a lot of good qualities. He was compassionate, friendly, clean. So the boy asked if he could learn from him. So he became an apprentice, a disciple, a student. And one day, the governor came through the town. He was being carried in a carriage, surrounded by a lot of people, and everyone was offering respects and offering different things to him, some items from their produce, from their hard-earned labor, some taxes. And the boy could see this person he's very well respected, he's very powerful, and people respect him. He must be doing valuable service for everyone. Evidently, this wasn't a corrupt official. This was someone who's actually doing his duty. And the boy approached the governor. "Sir, please accept me in your service. I need to serve someone, and I see that you have very good qualities. I want to learn from you, and I want to serve you. The governor accepted him in his service, became a clerk in the government office. And he was serving like that for some time. And then one day the king came to spend time with the governor and discuss some matters, political matters. And he saw the governor bow down before the king and offer him respects. The king also had an entourage, many attendants. He was very opulent, and he was much more powerful looking than the governor. Well, the boy's desire was to serve the greatest person. And he approached the king. Oh, my dear sir, I have been in the service of the governor now for a certain amount of time, and I have learned much about government matters, and I'm very eager to serve. I want to serve the greatest person, and I see that you're a very great person. Please accept me in your service. And so then he went to the king. And he was serving in the king's court. Then one day he noticed the king went off into the forest alone and was gone for some time. And he noticed the king did that fairly regularly. One day he followed him. Where is this king going? I want to see. And he noticed that the king went into a small hut in a secluded part of the forest. The boy peeked through a little opening in the hut wall. And there was a person in there wearing a loincloth. He had nothing. He had one change of clothes drying, hanging on a tree branch. He had nothing. Nothing. A little mat to lie down on for sleep. And the king bowed down before this person with his crown on the ground at the feet of this sage, saintly person, renunciate. That was it. The boy said, I've got to find out who this person is and how I can serve him. He's greater than the king. This is phenomenal. Who could be greater than the king? This person must have something even more. He approached the sage. Oh, sir, I want to serve the greatest person. You must be the greatest person. I see the king is bowing down before you. And the sage accepted him as a student and instructed him about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So who's right and who's wrong? Which system is right? Which system is wrong? Which is the greatest system? That system which brings someone to the point of love of Godhead. That has to be the greatest system.